My sister abruptly returns to the country on my wedding day. My parents, brother, and fiancé abandon me to pick her up at the airport. She posts a picture on social media, boasting about how loved she is, while all my calls go unanswered. Only my fiancé picks up, but all he says is not to make a fuss. We can always have our wedding another day. They turn me into a joke on the most important day of my life. Guests whisper, laugh, and point at me. I stay calm, add a new number to my journal, 99. The number of times they've let me down. I won't hope for their love anymore. Instead, I submit my application to study abroad and start packing. They think I've learned obedience, but I'm actually leaving for good. The door to my room swings open. Ethan, my brother, walks in and scoffs when he sees me staring at my journal. Aren't you too old for a diary? Normally, I'd snap back, but this time I don't even look up. He grows irritated, runs a hand through his hair, then snatches my journal. He frowns at the single number written inside. Tossing it onto the floor, he orders, "Stop writing nonsense. Luna wants your garlic shrimp. Go wash your hands and come downstairs. Consider it an apology for your snarky remark earlier." I hum in response and leave the room. Ethan seems surprised. Normally, I'd cry and argue whenever they asked me to cook for Luna. He eyes me suspiciously. Did you switch personalities or something? Or are you planning to poison the food? Then he finally notices my red-rimmed eyes and stiffens. Luna was abroad for a year, all alone. We were excited to see her. You should be more understanding. It was just a wedding. We can reschedule, right? I silently take the shrimp out of the fridge. It was just a wedding to them. Nothing mattered more than welcoming Luna. Not the months of planning, the high-end gown I fought to secure, or the hours spent perfecting every detail. They saw my efforts, yet still, they turned me into a laughingstock. My entire family and even my fiancé, none of them showed up. While Luna basked in the attention of those who welcomed her, I faced ridicule alone. Even the hotel staff pitied me, urging me to rest. But as soon as my family returned, they made me their cook. I glanced toward the living room. Laughter and warmth fill the space. My father, always too busy with work, sits patiently as Luna shares stories. My mother hugs her, eyes brimming with tears, fussing over how thin she's become. Ethan sits beside them, shelling pecans for her. "Sarah, why are you just standing there? Are you still mad that I ruined your wedding?" Luna pouts, looking pitiful. Only then do they notice me. My father frowns. "Why that long face? Get over here." My mother sighs in irritation. "Your wedding was ruined because you picked a bad date. This has nothing to do with Luna. If you dare blame her, I'll stop being your mother." Luna clings to her. "Mom, don't say that. You'll make Sarah sad." But her triumphant look is unmistakable. She knew my wedding date. A week before, she even promised a surprise. And what a surprise it was. This was her game, played since childhood. They always chose her, my parents, Ethan, even Brandon. I should be heartbroken, but I feel nothing. I'm not mad, I say, making them turn to me in surprise. They expected outrage. Their own reaction betrays the knowledge of their wrongdoing. Yet, they did it anyway. Sensing something off, my father finally nods. Good. We're family. No grudges over small things. I nod obediently. They relax, shifting their focus back to Luna. The dining table overflows with seafood, her favorites. They pile her plate high as she boasts about securing a spot in an orchestra. My parents and Ethan shower her with praise. I eat in silence. Noticing my unusual quietness, my mother finally acknowledges my presence. She awkwardly places a shrimp on my plate. Eat up. Don't think we always favor Luna. I stare at the shrimp for a long time before putting my utensils down. I'm full. Mom's face tightens. What's with you? Before she can say more, Luna suddenly clutches her throat. Her face twists in panic. Mom. I can't breathe. Chaos erupts. Rash spreads across her skin. Panic floods their eyes. Are you having an allergic reaction? Why now? My mother scans the room before locking eyes on me. The slap comes so fast I don't have time to react. The impact knocks me to the ground, my head buzzing. Sarah, what did you put in the food? You know she's allergic. Ethan's voice drips with disappointment. I was wondering why you were so quiet. You were planning this, weren't you? How did I end up with such a hateful sister? Enough, my father yells. We need to get Luna to the hospital. They rush out, leaving me alone on the floor, cheek burning. I didn't do it, I whisper. But what's the point? They wouldn't believe me. They never have. The housekeeper hears the commotion and rushes over. Her eyes widen at my hands. Sarah, why are your hands so swollen? I glance down. My fingers are red and puffy, an allergic reaction of my own. I'm fine, I mutter, pulling away. Back in my room, I pick up my journal. Memories flood back. When I was 8, money was tight. Our tiny home barely fit 5 people. My parents, overwhelmed, decided to send one child to live with our grandparents. Ethan was entering high school, too crucial to disrupt. Luna was too young, too fragile. So I volunteered. Mom stroked my hair, calling me thoughtful. But no one told me thoughtful meant being forgotten for 8 years. I waited. Each Christmas, I watched their clothes grow finer, their lives richer. I dreamed of the day they'd bring me home. That day never came. When my grandparents passed, I finally returned, not to the cramped old house, but to a grand 3-story villa. My room was in the farthest corner of the first floor. No bookshelves like Ethan's. No dreamy decor like Luna's. Just a bare, forgotten space. Like my place in this family, unnoticed, unimportant. I pack my few belongings. I had taken time off for my wedding. That's no longer needed. I reach for my phone to call my professor, to tell him I'll be returning to the lab tomorrow. When my phone suddenly rang. It was a call from Brandon. I assumed he was calling to figure out what to do about the wedding. I never imagined he would lash out at me the moment I answered. Sarah, what did you do to Luna? Why is she hospitalized? This was a man who was usually calm and poised, yet he had lost his composure twice in the same day. The first was when he heard Luna was returning to the country, this was the second. The funniest part was that he was supposed to be my fiancé. She had an allergic reaction. It was your fault, wasn't it? How could you do that to your own sister? Brandon sounded very angry. Sarah, I always thought you had a kind heart. I can't believe you put Luna in the hospital for something so trivial. Are you even human? I couldn't even be bothered to explain as I listened to his accusations. Yeah, I'm not human. It's all my fault. I'll apologize to her when she gets back. Is that enough? If you're done talking, I'm hanging up. I still have things to do. Brandon was taken aback. He never expected me to react like that. Before this, we had fought countless times over Luna. On our dates, he would get so caught up with texting her that he would forget I was with him. When we had meals together, he never remembered foods I had to avoid but always made sure to order her favorites. I had screamed and questioned him countless times, but I always got the same response: I was overthinking things. Luna was my sister, and he was just taking care of her for me. His indifference to the situation made me look like a petty lunatic. My parents and Ethan took his side too, saying I was too controlling. So, during the year Luna was abroad, I secretly took pleasure in it. But I was so starved for love that I forgot shattered glass could cut. I had clung to the broken shards stubbornly, unwilling to let go. Even now, my hands were covered in blood. Sarah, that better be the case. If anything happens to Luna again, you can forget about the wedding. Brandon warned. It sounded like he had just gotten out of his car and closed the door. His surroundings grew noisier. He must have arrived at the hospital, of course. He had gone rushing to see my dear little sister. He was blatantly using me as an excuse to care for the woman he truly loved. Did he really think I was a fool? I sneered and hung up, then reached out to my professor. By the time my parents and Ethan finally dragged their exhausted bodies home, I had already finished packing and was ready to move back to campus. I was pulling my suitcase out the door when I heard Mom sigh. If only Brandon didn't come from a poor family, he would have been such a good match for Luna. Did you see how thoughtful he was at the hospital? I froze, then heard Dad add, yeah, he's a good-looking young man. It seems like Luna is quite fond of him too. We shouldn't have introduced Brandon to Sarah. Stop your wishful thinking. I won't allowing Luna to live a poor life with Brandon. He's better off with Sarah. They're a better match. Luna is meant to be a famous pianist, after all. And he'll still be able to dote on Luna as her brother-in-law. Mom continued speaking absent-mindedly, but when she looked up and saw me standing on the stairs, she was so startled that she staggered backward. Sarah, what are you doing here? Mom had assumed I was already asleep because the lights in my room were off. She was probably wondering how much of their conversation I had overheard. Ignoring the faint throbbing pain in my heart, I walked straight past her. There's something I need to take care of at school, so I'm heading back. Seeing that I wasn't behaving strangely, Mom and Dad exchanged glances before finally relaxing. When Ethan noticed the suitcase by my side, he frowned. Why do you need to take your luggage with you? Are you trying to run away because you're worried we'll hold you accountable for what you did to Luna? At the mention of that, my parents, who had just been feeling a little guilty, straightened their backs and stared down at me. That's right. I almost forgot about that. Sarah, do you realize you put Luna in the hospital? You won't even apologize, and now you're trying to leave? Do you think you can just walk away from this? I was irritated as I took in their furious expressions. It looked like they weren't going to let this matter go, so I took out my phone and dialed Luna's number, putting her on loudspeaker. Luna was already awake, and she was currently being cared for lovingly by Brandon. As soon as she picked up, she said in a provocative tone, Sarah, why are you calling me? Are you mad because someone told you Bran Muffin is here taking care of me? Hearing her voice, my parents and Ethan were momentarily stunned. They couldn't believe their beloved daughter and sister would say something so shameless. I couldn't care less what went through their minds, nor did I care about Brandon. I responded flippantly, it's good that he's taking care of you. That left everyone stunned. Luna sounded genuinely surprised. Sarah, do you mean that? Of course, I said without hesitation. Even though I have no idea what caused your allergic reaction, I'll apologize. I'm sorry. With that, I ended the call immediately and turned to face my family, who were now staring at me in utter shock. Can I go now? This time, no one stopped me from leaving. Why aren't you making a fuss this time? Ethan asked before I left, but I didn't even take it to heart. Once I arrived back at campus, I switched my phone to airplane mode and locked myself away in the lab for 13 whole days. It wasn't until the day before I was to leave the country that I finally finished my experiment and stepped out of the lab. The moment I turned my phone back on, a flood of notifications from various people poured in. I had received messages from my family, Brandon, and several of my friends. I opened my friend's messages first. She must have been very angry because I had nearly 80 texts from her, all of them cursing out Brandon and Luna. I glanced at a photo she had sent. It was a screenshot of a family picture Luna had posted on social media. My parents, Ethan, Luna, and even Brandon were all in it. Brandon stood right next to Luna, gazing at her lovingly. He looked like her knight in shining armor. Luna's caption read, with the family I love the most. My friend was absolutely livid at her shameless stunt. She didn't just rant to me in private, she had even left a pointed comment under Luna's post. Looks like your brother-in-law is taking great care of you while your sister is away. I replied to her first, calming her down before moving on to the other messages. Without exception, every single one blamed me for my friend's comment. I apologized to everyone, and just as I was about to put my phone down, Ethan called. Sarah, what the hell? Why haven't you been reachable? Do you have any idea how worried everyone was these past few days? Right after he finished speaking, I heard Luna's clear, ringing laugh. Mom, Dad, Brandon, come and look at this carousel. It's so pretty. It seemed like they were at an amusement park. I asked plainly, worried, you say? When Ethan finally spoke again, he sounded embarrassed. Well, we couldn't get a hold of you. If you had been here, you could have joined us. It's all your friend's fault. You know how sensitive Luna is. She cried for a long time after seeing that comment. We had to bring her out to cheer her up. I already apologized. Ethan fell silent again at that, not knowing what to say. After a while, he finally muttered, that's good to know. You've finally learned to keep your temper in check. The next second, Brandon snatched Ethan's phone away. His deep voice came through, tinged with anger. Sarah, were you the one who told your friend to leave that comment? Why do you have such filthy thoughts? I've told you countless times. Luna is your sister. I'm just taking care of her for you. Isn't that what your entire family does? I know you feel like everyone loves Luna and not you. That's why you're jealous of her. But that's no fault of hers. You should really reflect on why you're so unlikable. His reckless comment made me tighten my grip on my phone ever so slightly. When I had first gotten together with Brandon, I had told him a few things about my family. Back then, he had held me in his arms and promised he would always take my side. Now, he was telling me to reflect on myself. But I didn't feel sad. Just before I had left home, I had already learned the truth from my parents. I had never been the person Brandon liked. He had just been putting on an act. Once he finished his performance, he would be able to stay by his true love's side, protecting and cherishing her forever. What I believed to be fate had been nothing more than a play they had put together. There were moments when I just wanted to ask them why. But there was no point to it. They just didn't love me. There was no reason why. On the other end of the line, I heard Brandon's flustered apologies. It seemed like he realized he had spoken out of line. But it didn't matter. I didn't care anymore. I glanced at the flight details my classmates sent me and said softly, "Brandon, let's break up." I was done being their pawn. I was leaving. The other end of the phone fell into a dead silence after Brandon heard what I said. Just as I was about to hang up, I heard Brandon laugh. He sounded confident, like he had me all figured out. "Sarah, are you sure? You've spent so much time preparing for our wedding. How could you possibly want to break this off?" "So you do know I spent a lot of time preparing for our wedding," I sighed. Brandon seemed to think I was still just throwing a tantrum and said helplessly, "Come on, stop playing. I already told you I'll make it up to you. Playing hard to get won't work on me." I had no patience left to explain anything to him. It sounded like Ethan was arguing with him in the background, so I ended the call. After some thought, I blocked everyone in my family, including Brandon. That night, I slept soundly and even had a dream. In my dream, a young girl wearing different clothes from those of her older brother and younger sister was writing in her brand new diary. Holding her pen, she carefully wrote the number 1 in it. She muttered to herself, "If this ever reaches 99, then I don't want Mom, Dad, Ethan, and Luna anymore." After mulling it over, she crossed out the number and replaced it with 0.5. Today, Mom and Dad forgot to buy me new clothes again. My classmates laughed at me when I wore my old ones to school. I felt a little sad, but this is the best outfit I have. Today, Luna said I stole her stuff. Mom and Dad hit me, but I didn't steal it. I just wanted to wipe it clean for her. Luna wanted to eat garlic shrimp and asked me to make it for her. Mom and Dad forgot that I'm allergic to seafood. My hands are swollen. It hurts. It's Luna's birthday today. Her cake was so pretty. I wish they would celebrate my birthday too. But Mom and Dad seem to have forgotten my birthday is just 2 days before Luna's. I watched silently as she filled her diary page after page. Sometimes, they had decimal points. Sometimes, they didn't. She kept making excuses for her family, but her expression grew increasingly numb. In the end, her diary was nearly full, and the wedding she had longed for had also been ruined. She stopped numbering at 99. I locked eyes with her. She was wearing a wedding dress. "I should have left earlier," she said. I nodded. "Still, it's not too late now." The moment I boarded the plane, I left behind the weight of all the grievances I had recorded, page after page. I threw myself into my studies, forgetting everything else. At times, being alone in a foreign country did feel lonely, but unlike Luna, I didn't go looking for someone to talk to. Instead, I used all that extra time to better myself. Like a sponge, I absorbed every bit of knowledge I could. Eventually, my lab mates begged me to stop working so hard, and only then did I finally take a break. I returned to my dorm and lay on my bed. As I chatted with a friend from back home, she suddenly brought up my family and Brandon. It sounded like she was rejoicing. "Sarah, you have no idea. After you left, Brandon and your family practically went crazy." "Went crazy?" I replied, "No way. They don't actually care about me." My friend responded almost instantly. "Right? But from what I heard, they've been desperately trying to reach you." I nodded, finally realizing the reason behind the flood of unknown calls I'd been receiving lately. I never had the habit of answering calls from unknown numbers, so I always just ignored them. Had those calls been from Brandon and my family? Just as I was mulling it over, another call from an unknown number popped up on my screen. I hesitated for a moment but decided to answer it. To my surprise, the caller was Mom. Hearing the call go through, she sounded emotional. "Sarah, you finally answered. Where have you been? Why did you block all of us? We thought something had happened to you." She paused for a moment before continuing, her tone slightly stiff. "We were wrong for ignoring you. Come home, we'll celebrate your birthday." Her sudden change in behavior was too strange. I immediately thought of the diary I had thrown into the trash before leaving. They must have found it and read it. 99 more than 99 grievances. That must be why they felt guilty and were searching for me, wanting to make it up to me. But what was the point? Apologizing after hurting me didn't mean they cared about me. They just wanted to feel better about themselves. I responded indifferently, "That won't be necessary. I don't like celebrating birthdays." Mom fell silent, seemingly at a loss for words. After a long pause, she finally asked me to come home soon. I looked around my dorm. Although it wasn't big, it had everything I liked. I had chosen everything myself. This was the place where I truly felt a sense of belonging. "Nah, I'm already home." With that, I ended the call. I thought my rejection that day was clear enough, but one day, as I left the lab after finishing an experiment, I saw a group of people I had no desire to see standing outside my apartment building. It was Mom, Dad, Ethan, and Brandon. The moment they saw me, they all looked somewhat emotional. "Sarah, you're finally back." Ethan was about to step forward when Brandon shoved past him and stood right in front of me. "Sarah, it's been a while." He looked haggard, and his eyes were red. It looked like he hadn't rested in a long while. If this had happened in the past, I might have pitied him. But now, I was just annoyed. "We broke up." "Why are you here?" Brandon's eyes reddened even more. "I never agreed to break up. We just fought." "I don't need your permission to break up," I said calmly. I then turned to my family, who were standing to the side helplessly. "I heard what you said that day." Mom, Dad, and Ethan instantly paled, and Brandon's eyes widened as if he realized something. I continued, voicing the truth I had pieced together. "Luna is the one Brandon likes, but because he comes from an average background, you don't think he's good enough for your precious daughter. So, you introduced him to me instead. That way, there would still be someone who would dote on Luna in the family. Isn't that right?" "And no, it's not like that." Mom tried to deny it, but she couldn't argue. Dad and Ethan lowered their heads in shame. As for Brandon, he desperately tried to pour his heart out to me. "I did like Luna at first. But that was only in the beginning. We were about to get married. How could I not have feelings for you?" I nodded, indicating I understood. Just as a glimmer of hope lit up in Brandon's eyes, I mercilessly delivered the final blow. "But you didn't show up to our wedding. So, we won't ever get married again." "No, that's not true. We can still have another wedding. I've already ordered your wedding dress from your favorite designer. I've also contacted the wedding planner. As long as you say the word, we can hold a new ceremony right away. I promise it'll be even better than the last one." Brandon placed his hands on my shoulders, his voice pleading. "Sarah, I'm serious. Listen to me, I was just used to taking care of Luna. That's all. You're the person I truly love. I never thought you would actually leave. I'm the bastard. I hurt you. I'm the one who let you down." I gently pushed his hands away. It would be a lie to say I wasn't moved as I looked into his reddened eyes. After all, Brandon was the one who had been by my side when I had wanted to feel loved and needed affirmation the most. But it was also precisely because of that I could never forgive him. Forgiving him meant letting down the version of myself who had excitedly looked forward to our wedding. "You love me?" "No, love doesn't look like this. Love is always feeling indebted, not taking my love for granted, and repeatedly letting me down. Love is about mutual understanding and compromise, not one person making all the sacrifices. Brandon, there's no going back for us. You know what I've always wanted more than anyone. What I wanted was devotion, to be someone's firm, unwavering choice. But it was something he could never give me." Brandon staggered back several steps as if he had been struck by lightning. He appeared despondent as he covered his face. Judging by his posture, he was probably crying. I didn't plan on comforting him. He was just an ex and wasn't worth my time or energy. I had already made myself clear. As long as he didn't loiter outside my home and ruin my mood, that was all that mattered. I was about to leave when my family called out to me. Only then did I remember that there were 3 other people with us. Feeling slightly irritated, I rubbed my temples before glancing at the 3 hesitant figures in front of me. I asked point blank, "He came here asking to get back together. So, what's your reason?" Dad let out a sigh. "Sarah, we read your diary. We finally realized how much you've suffered all these years." His tone was solemn as he brought up their past struggles, as if all this had been some kind of terrible misunderstanding. He spoke about how Luna had been gravely ill as a child and nearly died. Since I hadn't grown up at home with them, they had poured all of their love into their younger daughter. He also mentioned how too many years had passed when I had finally returned home. They didn't know how to act around me, and they had forgotten how to love me. Finally, he said they had spoiled Luna, which led to her scheming against me. They had been completely unaware. I listened quietly without reacting. Mom's expression was filled with shame. We found out why Luna had an allergic reaction. It was because of the peanuts she ate in the salad. It wasn't because of you. I'm sorry for falsely accusing you, Sarah. I even slapped you. Did it hurt? These were words I had longed to hear when I had been a teenager. Every time I had been falsely accused, I would imagine that one day my parents would uncover the truth and tell me it wasn't my fault. But it was too late now. I was no longer the young girl who had held out hope for them. Seeing my lack of reaction, my family looked even more miserable. Mom and Dad wanted to say more, but I had run out of patience. "All right, are you done talking? You can leave now. I still have things to do this afternoon. Stop wasting my time." How is this a waste of time? We're apologizing to you." Ethan grew agitated. He couldn't understand why I was so cold to them. He thought all of this was merely a misunderstanding. I used to love them so much. How had things come to this? Just because you apologized, does that mean I must accept it? I countered, leaving Ethan at a loss for words. We were in front of my dorm, with many students passing by. Even though most of them couldn't understand us, that didn't stop them from watching the drama unfold. I had never liked being the center of attention. At that moment, I was truly angry and voiced out everything that I had been keeping inside. "You keep saying that you're making up for the love you owe me by pouring it into Luna. But why? I was the one who was wronged, yet she's the one who benefited. At home, you always complained that I was too noisy, that I fought with Luna, and that I had a bad temper. But did you ever think that if I didn't make a fuss, no one would have even noticed me? I had been happier at Grandpa's place than at yours. Now that I've left and put some distance between us, can't we all just go our separate ways in peace?" Mom was already in tears. "Sarah, you're our daughter. We're connected by blood. How can you just cut us off like this? I'd rather not be your daughter at all." With that, I turned around and went upstairs without sparing my crying family another glance. Maybe my words had hit hard, because after that, they never came back to bother me. But every now and then, I would find some fresh fruits and vegetables outside my apartment door. I figured either my family or Brandon had asked one of my classmates to leave them there for me. But I never took any of it. Instead, I gave everything away to the other residents in my building. During my final year, a huge scandal erupted in the overseas student community. It was only when I learned the full story from a friend that I realized the main character was none other than my long-estranged younger sister, Luna. It turned out that after studying abroad, Luna had quickly abandoned her piano training. All those times she had boasted about joining the orchestra and earning the admiration of her professors, she'd been doing nothing but lying. She hadn't learned anything useful, but she had certainly embraced the openness of foreign culture. Her personal life was a complete mess, and she had even contracted an STD. Not only that, she even got involved with drugs at a party. She lied to our family that she was seriously ill just so that they would send her money. But when our worried family personally went to check on her, they caught her red-handed. Luna must have been high because she had the audacity to lash out. "Don't you all love me the most? So why did you send money to that bitch again? If you had just given me the money, I wouldn't have had to lie." During the argument, in a state of delirium, she had picked up a knife and stabbed Ethan. Although he had survived, he had been left with permanent health complications. Devastated by the disgrace Luna had brought upon the family, Mom and Dad stopped supporting her financially. Without money, Luna spiraled even further down the wrong path, eventually infecting several people before returning home, where she hoped to find someone who would take responsibility for her. And as fate would have it, the poor fool she set her sights on was none other than Brandon. Despite all his declarations of love for me, Brandon didn't resist when his first love practically threw herself at him. In the end, his first love turned out to be the death of him. He ended up infected with the STD as well. Brandon couldn't accept that his life was ruined just like that. In a fit of rage, he hacked Luna to death. The story concluded with Luna stabbing Ethan and Brandon killing Luna. One was dead, one was wounded, and one was sent to prison. Seeing the familiar names, I lamented at their fates, but I felt nothing else. After I graduated, I returned to my home country and became a key figure in a pharmaceutical company. My family heard about it and tried to reach out to me. But before they could even see me, security turned them away. For the rest of their lives, they would live in regret. They would regret never cherishing the young girl who had been brought back home, and they would regret losing the daughter and sister who once looked at them with nothing but love.